Alright, so I got all the parts finally to put these cylinders together. Dad got them ordered this morning because apparently Martin Fluid Power is still on their COVID kick and you can't just walk in. So it's a good thing that he got here. And I told them what all I had going on before I went up there. I'd have drove all the way up there and I'd have been pissed. So, because you got to call ahead, order, and then they pull everything, and then you call while you're standing outside the damn door, and then they bring it out. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to make a couple upgrades here. First off, the old rod seal was this guy. It was an O-ring and a backup ring. It's going to get replaced with a U-cup style rod seal. That's what this thing's job is it's a rod seal. So that's going to go in. New wiper. Well, I can show you what we got. I'll show you what we're doing as we're going. So first off, we'll put the new rod seal in. The old seal inverter out here. And just like a lip seal, lip goes towards the pressure, so pressure is going to come from this side, lip goes down in the gland. In the hole. Okay. I need to grab a piece of paper towel and a hammer. The two things I forgot. I tried to make sure before I started the video. I told myself, make sure you got all the tools out, and I still forgot. Okay, now I think I got everything. So now our wiper can go in. Wiper goes lip out because its job is to wipe the rod before it goes inside the cylinder. Let's take a seal driver. Next goes in like that. And now this can go on the rod. Now we got to clean this up. And because this got an aluminum piston on it, is why there's not an O-ring here like if it would have had a steel piston, but they had some red Loctite on there to seal it. So we're going to put a little bit of dab of red Loctite on there when we put it back together. Making sure not to put it on the threads because we don't want red Loctite on the threads. And then we can put our nut on. And I got something here. Damn, too big. Got something to hold it somewhere. that. And now, where did that guy? So, the original piston seal was an O-ring and 2 backup rings that stacked up like that. Well, we're going to go with this guy, which is an actual purpose-built piston seal. It's got a rubber energizer ring, or I guess it'd be a neoprene energizer ring, and then your plastic glide band slash piston seal. So put some schlickum on there. Another layer of schlickum. And these guys will tend to fight you a little bit because they're semi-hard. Come on, damn you. Okay, let's try going on the short way, huh? Come on, stay hooked in there, you bastard. If you don't put the grease on, you fight it, but if you put the grease on, it gets too slick. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Oh, come on. Almost there. Almost lost it. Naturally, I turn the camera on and it snaps right on there. Or turn the camera off and it snaps right on there in one shot. Okay, now these are my O-rings. Now, the original O-rings in this were only 70 durometer. They're soft. And the reason for this failure is because normally in a situation like this where you've got pressure hitting an O-ring from one side, so like on this gland, you got pressure hitting it from this side, so the O-ring wants to go that way. So in a normal situation, you'd put a backup ring behind the O-ring to give the O-ring something to push up against when it expands because of pressure. That way it can't expand, or it can't extrude itself up through the small gap that's in between the gland and the barrel. Well, they didn't machine the groove in this gland wide enough for an O-ring and a backup ring. And any upgraded tube seals that you put in here, because they make a seal that's kind of similar to this, but it's only got one ridge in it that's made to seal glands to tubes like this, but it's made to put in a groove that's wide enough for an O-ring and a backup ring. Well, because it's an implement cylinder, they cheaped out they put the small groove in it and it's only got an O-ring in it, which is actually fairly common in tie rod implement cylinders. Dad's seen them come through here a lot, and they all fail for the same reason. It's because the O-ring was sitting there working in and out of that groove and slowly eating itself like that one did. So instead of a 70 durometer O-ring, we're getting a 90 durometer O-ring. It's harder to see if that works, and if it doesn't work, we'll have to bite the bullet, tear the cylinder back apart, chuck this up in the lathe, open the groove up, and see if we can get a seal that'll fit, or make it wide enough for an O-ring and a backup ring, or whatever the case may be. But this 90 durometer O-ring should cure it. So that's what we're gonna try. Okay, there's that. And then we need to put an O-ring on our other gland. Now, this is a gland, this is an end cap, different things. Gotta call them right, or somebody in the comments is gonna be pissy because they're idiots. Okay, now remember, there's no such thing as too much grease. Well, you don't want dog hair in there. Actually, make sure both ends of the tube are chamfered, so it doesn't matter which way we go in. Now, I guess you would, it's not really a downside, but one of the quirks to these seals is they do not like to compress because they're meant to be expanded. I guess I could get you up here a little bit. So, getting them inside the tube can sometimes be a challenge. Thing with that 90 durometer O-ring, it's not going to want to compress as much. So basically you're making this entire stack go together harder in the hopes that it's going to last longer. That being said, I wonder if my tie rods are long enough that I can just draw this thing together. Because that would make life a little easier. Oh, that one might go in on. Come on. Don't fight me. Nope, it's gonna fight me. Okay, so are my tie rods long enough that we can suck them in? Damn. If I can get one in, or can I do, if I just get a little bit of, ooh, I might be able to make this work. Yep, this will work. And it's one of them deals where it doesn't actually take a whole lot of force. It's just that a human can't really, like, make it do what it needs to do by hand. So you just need a little bit of mechanical help. This should work a little better, actually. I should torque off this side since I got more room. Now we'll go all the way up to 57. This is a smooth jaw vise, so it's not the best option for this, but there we go. Okay, it's all torqued up, got the fittings back in, put new O-rings on the fittings, so now time to test it, so give it a little bit of air. Whoops. No air that way. Oops. I lost it. There we go. The only air the only air that's leaking is a little bit out of the nozzle. So I think we're good. I'm gonna leave that extended because I gotta put it back in with the planter up. So I'm gonna leave that just like that. Alright, let's get this sucker back on here. Got it off without having to do anything to the counter pin. So hopefully I can get it back in. This top one's not fun to get to. Yep, screw it. Okay, I took the cotter pin out the other side. Take two. You only need about... Shit. You only need about 3 sets of hands to do this. Huh, so that's why they... That's interesting. So, I don't know why it is this way, but it would appear that the bottom cylinder mount is not in line with the top one. And they had both those washers on one side of that lower pin. Well, I figured it made more sense to have them on top to keep the cylinder center. Well, apparently that's not the case. You got to have them on that side because that bottom clevis is offset. They're like that to each other. That's interesting. I wonder, because the other side's, or the other wing cylinder is the same way, so I wonder what their reasoning behind that was. Stand to shorten them counter pins just a hair. Now, let the forklift down just a bit, line that pin up. Probably not enough. Nope. A little more. Oh yeah, got it. So now I can put my washers in down there. Or is it on center? It sure looks like it's on center, but the bottom is definitely narrower than the top. I'm putting a washer on either side. Because to me, that makes, and it looks like it's straight up and down, and to me, that makes a whole hell of a lot more sense. I'm sure this is not the first time these cylinders have been off this thing in its lifetime, so Lord knows somebody could have put it together the wrong way at some point. Okay, now I guess I need to rotate my fittings back a little bit. I couldn't remember how they came off, but now I can get my hoses hooked up. So I'm gonna get this buttoned up, and then I can take that steer cylinder off the other tire, get that taken care of, and then the cylinders will be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting these guys buttoned up, and we'll come back to you. All right, make this short and sweet because I gotta get this thing folded up and out of the way and clean my tools up and go home and eat dinner because I'm hungry and it's late. But starting to get to the point where we're burning the candle at both ends again. Got the other two hoses made that go to the tractor for the lift that I couldn't do the other day because the planter was in the air. I didn't like the way the hoses for the pump, well, all 3 sets of lines would not fit in the factory hose holder. There's not enough room. And I didn't like the way these things laid when the pump was on the tractor going through that holder. So there just so happened to be a hole for a 1/2-inch bolt right here in the mast, and so I got a ring clamp there and got the hoses for the pump out of the holder, ran them through that ring clamp, so now they actually lay kind of naturally going down to the pump. And then I also made, there was a hose holder on a parts planter that I got, a junk 543, so I cut that up, or took that off the planter and cut it down and welded a washer on it and threaded it so that I got a spot to hold the pump when it's in storage. I'm gonna have to get a wing nut for it. For now I just got a flange nut on there, but because there was no spot, they had the pump, they were sliding it over the hose holder and it would hang off to the side and it would pull this thing over, and it just didn't work all that great. So that's a lot nicer. And like, it's just for storage, so it's not in the way of anything really. So but anyway, yeah, so we're gonna see how this thing folds up because I have not had it folded up since we cut the frame down. So hopefully everything goes okay. Got to tighten my screws up. First things first. Now it's going to pick up all funny because there's air in the system. Bit, get that thing in the stone so we're not doing this on the concrete. Get all the air worked out of the lines on it.
wrenches are not well, now they're unhooked, but you gotta level the frame manually because they're a little wonky. So this is where it folded up before. Or no, this is where it folded up before. Guess I don't know what that rub mark is. But that's where it folded up before, and this is where it folds up now. And everything misses, so sweet. There we go. I need to remember to loosen the damn bolts on this transport lock because it doesn't go down on its own like it should. And I can't reach. Come on, down you come. There we go. Good dealio. So I guess, man, it is. That's a lot of tongue now, not a whole lot of planter. It looks so cute. If it wasn't for the fact that it'd screw the fold geometry all up, you could shorten the tongue, but it would screw the geometry up all sorts of. It would be really screwed up. Anyway, I guess that's enough for tonight, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Start probably doing fertilizer stuff. All right. Today we're gonna work on a little bit of fertilizer plumbing. This should go fairly quick, and it's kind of boring, so I'm not gonna get a whole lot of video of it, but just enough to get you to get the point. So all this requires is a nut driver and a good old pair of hose cutters, and it's pretty much just plug and chug. Not really a whole lot complicated. But you got 8 that got to come out of here, and then 8 that got to go out of the flow meter down to your coulters. These 8 should be all the same length because they're all going to the same spot. Hang on 1 minute. Okay, let's try a little bit of Murphy, see if that hangs a little better. And I got these, so it's easier to hang on to. Oh yeah, 10 times better. That's the ticket. That's the ticket right there. Now, I'm gonna a little bit of a turn here. We're gonna loop this guy around. Something about like that. And then since these are short, you just zip tie them all together and they'll self-support because they're going up, so. Everything's all nice and untangled. And by all rights, I should just have to cut 8 of them that length because you're moving down the same distance every time. So, just for trial purposes, let's cut one that length and lay it in there. Not what I wanted to do. Slide the hose clamp on the other end.
much laying right with each other. Yes, sir, that's what we got to do. I mean, I figured that's what we had to do, but... So, I will go ahead and get me 6 more hoses cut. Run them up to the manifold. Okay. So we're all plumbed up to the manifolds. And then I got hoses run to all the well, almost all the coulters. I had enough hose to get to here. So I gotta run 3 more, but I need to get more hose. So, with that being said, I got straps cut, or rubber strips cut, so that we can get the tank straps put back on. So I'm gonna do that. All right, we're jumping forward a couple of days here, although I haven't really done anything that you haven't seen other than I didn't show you. I dropped all of the fertilizer coulters all the way down. I figured that's a good spot to start. The only issue I had there was this guy. They had snapped off the set screw flush with the casting. Luckily they didn't screw anything up in the holder itself, but tried drilling it, which was a chore in itself because set screws are hardened. But tried drilling it. I managed to get a hole in it, but the easy out that I had, that I drilled the pilot hole for, turned out to be for a left-hand thread. When I put it in, I couldn't figure out why it kept wanting to turn out when I was trying to loosen the bolt. And I finally pulled it out and looked at it. It's like, huh, that spiral's going the wrong direction. It's an easy out for left-hand thread. Why we have one, I don't know. But so didn't have a right-hand thread easy out the right size for the hole that I had. So the hole was too big for all the easy outs we had, which would have done any good anyway, because we ended up having to I took the coulter off, had to put it in the mill, and we had to take an end mill, a carbide end mill, and go in and actually forcefully remove basically the entire set screw, and then run a tap down through the threads and bust out what was left, because I don't know what kind of rust was in there, but it was good shit, because that thing did not want to come out. We literally took that end mill and bored all the way down till we broke the end of the set screw out, got to the
coulter shank, and then just took the end mill and went in a circle and chewed everything out till we saw the edge of the threads for the casting, and I mean, it was not coming out. Teeter, get back from the road. And then this one was stuck, but it came out just a little bit of heat, so that one came out okay. But other than that, you haven't missed a whole lot. I got the air manifold cut apart because it was glued together, so I got that ready to shorten up. I made hose brackets, or pre-made the brackets for the hose clamps for these outside lift wheels. So I just got to get those put on, but they're made. Hose clamp showed up the other day. My bearings showed up for the squeeze pump. Got hose, got fittings. Still waiting on hose to finish running fertilizer lines to these 3 coulters over here, but I got all the fittings and hose I need to plumb the tanks into the squeeze pump. They had it plumbed for 1-inch hose. I upsized it, the whole, I've got different bungs for the tank, new valves, new fittings, everything, and I'm upsizing it all to 1.25 inches because that was the biggest I could run and still keep this same size, or get a bung to fit in the tank. So yeah, I think that's got you caught up. Pretty sure. It was $400 just for the valves and fittings and everything to run the main trunk down through here. But I got a valve for both sides, so I could fill off either side. New valves for the tanks, a valve for the squeeze pump, because you gotta be able to shut the squeeze pump off when you're filling the tanks. That way you don't push fertilizer through the squeeze pump, because it'll do that. I'm thinking, well, they didn't have any way to bottom fill these tanks. I'm guessing that they just had a nozzle on whatever nurse tank they had, and they were filling the tanks individually from the top, because they had no other way. They had no way to bottom fill on here, so that's how they must have been doing it. But yeah, anyway, I got started a little late today because I've been trying for the last 3 nights to get the yard mowed, and I finally successfully finished up today after work. So I'm getting started on this late. But first things first, I got to pull this sprocket off and put it down in the press, because the big sprocket's is bent. I mean, the small sprocket is really bent, but I don't need the small sprocket for the fertilizer rate I'm putting on right now, and there ain't no fixing it anyway because the sprocket's schmucked. I don't know how you do that unless they lock the squeeze pump up at some point, which I don't know how you lock a squeeze pump up. So I got to take this out real quick, put it in the press, see if I can straighten it out somewhat, put my bearings on, put the chain on, and go from there. So pop this thing off real quick. Sprockets as straight as it's probably gonna get. It's better than it was, and I got a bolt in it that's not 2 inches too long. I priced that out. You can still get that double sprocket assembly new to the tune of $200 for some reason. So what I'm gonna have to do is get some weld-on sprockets and probably just machine a new hub and put new sprockets on it and make a whole new shebang, because it'd be easier than trying to cut these sprockets off of that hub. But that's the only way that I could see to do it. Reasonably not stupid expensive. So now we can put the bearing on. Although I'm thinking, do I want to put it that way, or do I want to put it on the inside? I'm thinking I want to put it on the inside. Because that's gotta, there'd be plenty. It's gonna go somewhere in there, so there'll be plenty. Yeah, I want to put that on the inside. Shit, I don't have enough room don't have enough room to slide the shaft out that way.
So I'm gonna have to go get me some pliers so I can take these snap rings off and take the shaft out this way, put the bearing on, slide it back.
Okay, real quick before we tear that thing apart and put it back together and have to tear it apart again, I need something to hold the shaft from walking back and forth. And we got these 3/4 inch lock collars, which these are 3/4 inch shafts, but they're 3/4 inch across the flats. You measure over the points, they measure about 840. So I'm gonna try a, what is that, 27/64 is what I came up with, I think. No, it's more than that. 27/32, not 27/64. I knew that didn't sound right. So we're gonna see if we can run a drill through here. They shouldn't be hard. Yeah. Soft as butter. I think that's gonna work. Yeah. Open it up. We'll go to the next size up. I figured that was gonna be kind of close because the 27/32 is 840. What is it? 840 something. 27/32, 8438. So that's really damn close. Try that. Oh, that's the ticket. That's the one we wanted. Actually, real quick. Put it. Go ahead. Run a chamfer bit on that. Perfect. That's what we want. All right. There we go. I was going to replace both these bearings, but the one is good. And they use this same bearing everywhere on this planter. It's on the row units, it's on the fertilizer. I think it is the only bearing, aside from like wheel bearings and as far as on the main drives, it is the only bearing that's used anywhere. So I figured I'd put the one new one on here that I needed and then keep the other new one as a spare.
Now, we just gotta start stacking things up. So we got a lock collar there, which before we get too carried away, I need to make sure that I can still get my sprocket on. Oh yeah, there's still plenty. Yep, we'll run that one. I think that's the reverse of the way I did have it, but I like it better that way. So, clamp, sprocket, and then another clamp, and the other lock ring. Say, you better go, you son of a bitch. Enough sticking through to get that sprocket over where it needs to be. Well, I don't know if that's where it needs to be, but that'll give me enough to hit all the sprockets for my adjustment. So we can lock her down right there. And naturally, I forgot to grab Allen wrenches. But you get the idea. Well, the plot thickens. So before I went to start cutting chain for this thing, I was like, well, I might as well figure out what sprocket combination I need to put the rate on I want. So I went in the book, started looking. It's like, wait a minute here. Something ain't right. In the book, let me get down here where I can see. In the book, this sprocket is not adjustable. It's just a single 32 tooth sprocket. And then this one's supposed to be a 44-28 or a 45-25, either or, depending on which combination you need. I do not have a 45-25, but this is a 44-28, which is the one I need anyhow. And then you got this stack up here, and then this is supposed to be a 44-28 up on the pump. Well, that's definitely a 44-28 sprocket. So went looking in parts book to see exactly what's supposed to be. Sure shit, it's supposed to be a 32 tooth sprocket with a shear bolt. So went over to a parts planner, got a 32 tooth sprocket with a drive hub and a shear bolt. That's what's supposed to be there. And it's kind of handy because this sprocket shot, this one's in decent shape, so I can take this sprocket, put it here, take that sprocket, put that there, and scrap that one because that one's junk. So I'm gonna do that real quick and yeah, hopefully get this buttoned up. All right, well, I got one side done. That worked pretty decent. Everything lined up, tensioner worked, although I had intended for that tensioner to go down on the chain, but there's not. I mean, I might be able to if I took a link out and put a half link in, but this works too, so that works without having to add extra links into the chain or do anything like that. However, this guy is not the right sprocket stack. None of the sprocket teeth, none of the tooth counts on the sprockets match what's in the book, so I got to go back to that parts planner tomorrow and see if the fertilizer sprocket stack on that one is correct. So I need a 20 tooth, and that's a 22 to get. I either got 17 gallon an acre or 19 gallon an acre. I was hoping for 18, that way I'd have an even 10 acres on a fill. But if I got to do something, I might as well bump it up to the 19. So I got a 32 tooth driving a 25 tooth to a 20 tooth to a 44 tooth, but I don't have a 20 tooth. So hopefully that parts planner does. So we will see in the morning. But I think that's it for this video. It's almost 8:30, so I'm gonna pack it up for the night. Tomorrow, weather permitting, we're gonna hit this thing hard. Should be able to get a fair bit done. Get those hoses knocked out, get the manifolds back on, get the row units back on, hopefully finish up the or fertilizer transmission, get the main trunk run through for the liquid tanks, and then at that point we'll just be waiting on the hose I need to finish going to the coulters over there, and I gotta put oil in the pump. So hopefully, weather permitting, we got like a 45% chance of rain tomorrow. I'm hoping that turns to 0. But if so, we should be able to knock the shit out of this thing tomorrow. Fingers crossed. So with that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.